everybody. Thank you for coming to the final farewell lunch of Woollinn 2019. I really appreciate you hanging out with us today. We want to say just thank you to all of our amazing team, our volunteers, our vendors, our visitors. You've just been spectacular. It's been the warmest and most lovely atmosphere, and we're just so grateful for you all and your support. Particularly, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Please, there's Aisling, give me all the names, please. 100% for Stephen and Penelope today for supporting this talk. We're really very grateful. Thank you so much. To knittingtours.com, to Crossing Woods, to Hyde and Hammer, and Studio Donegal, and Lipro, and Laylee! Emily Fields on the Barbacoa, thank you so much. I am absolutely delighted to introduce you all to Adaku Ezeudo. She is just a light and such a positive and wonderful, passionate person. She has an amazing story, and she's just born to do what she does. And I think we're all going to get a really interesting insight from her talk today. So without any further ado, I will hand you over to Adaku.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I can see you guys have had some lovely lunch. I hope you enjoyed it. Great stuff. I'm really so happy to be here today, and I'm delighted to have this opportunity to speak to you. I can see hands knitting. That's amazing. How do you guys do that? I'm impressed. I'm so impressed. First of all, I would like to say a big well done to the organizers of the Woollinn Festival, and thank you for asking me to come here to share my story, to share myself with you. I really do appreciate it. And I think they deserve a round of applause for an event like this. Well done, well done, well done. So while I have the lantern, I would like to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm passionate about furthering diversity and inclusion throughout Ireland. I'll also talk a bit about Phoenix Rise Consulting. That's my diversity and inclusion company. And again, share a few ideas on how small businesses like yours can begin to make a journey to inclusion. So I'm originally from Nigeria, and I've lived in Ireland for about 18 years. And I do feel at home here now. I was traveling to a place where I knew very little about. And I didn't really think of what life and the practicalities would be at the other end of that flight. And when I look back now, I think I came here on a wing and a prayer. And this is the reality for many people that have made similar journeys in find of a better life. So although English is my first language in Nigeria, I found out that in Ireland we use the same language differently. For example, when an Irish person says yes, sometimes they mean no. Or when they tell you, we must meet for a cup of tea, it doesn't mean that you show up the next day in their house expecting the cup of tea. It's just their polite culture. They're just polite, and they just don't know how to say no, So that was some of the challenges I faced coming to Ireland, because that confused me. Like, what do you mean? What are you saying? So apart from the language barriers, I discovered that the qualifications that I had achieved in Nigeria and I brought to Ireland were not recognized. I was either told that I was overqualified or I didn't have enough Irish experience. So I had to take a few steps backwards to be able to get my, to be able to get my foot in the door. So I went back, did a course in insurance that I didn't need, but because the course had a work experience attached to it, I just said I would do it because I wanted to get a job. So after we finished the insurance course, and it took me 9 months to do that course, so you can imagine how much time I had to invest. But after we finished the course, we were about maybe 21 people there. And there were 2 Nigerians, and the rest were Irish. Every Irish person got work placement opportunities, but I and the other guy from Nigeria did not get anything. So we were just like devastated. We were shocked. We were like, why us? Why? And we had the best results. So wow, that was quite like, it's unfair. But I didn't understand what was going on. So the course tutor, I remember, told us, no, you need to show that you are confident and you know what you're doing. Go out there and make phone calls yourself. And we tried and tried, nothing. And so he picked up the phone himself and called a few companies. And within 2 days, we were accepted. So, but that taught me something. It taught me that having the best result, having a distinction did not matter, did not get your foot in the door. What worked was contact. Who did you know? But again, that left me a bit confused about the Irish system. Anyway, so I linked in with other Nigerians in the system in Ireland then, and who were also in the same boat as me, trying to find out what's the story, what's your experience like? And I realized that we all had the same issues. We're not going anywhere. We are going around in circles. We're not, getting jobs, or we are offered a job as cleaners in a hotel. So I was like, no, I have an accounting background. I can't do cleaning job. That's going to kill me, So I said no. But some people said, oh, well, if that's what I can get, fine, so be it, I will do it. But I said, no, I will not. So I later found work in the corporate sector many years later, and I was able to provide for myself. But again, I began to wonder, after all this fight to get into this corporate job, I was not fulfilled. I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to leave this place. This is not me. It was in my job that I found out that I love to work with people. I like to do work that aligned with my values. I realized that I wasn't the behind the desk kind of a person. A 9 to 5, no, was not for me. I was more into work that allowed me to make a difference. So I went back again. I wasn't sure, how do I leave this corporate world and do what really fulfills me? So I went back and did another master's degree in image. And after that, I hit a brick wall again because I didn't get a job. I wanted to move from the corporate to the community sector, but no charity would accept me. They said I didn't have charity experience. I was more financial. I'm like, what do you guys want? I have experience. Come on. But that didn't work. So with time, I was able to overcome all these issues, because of my dedication to persevere, to network, and my willingness to learn. So this allowed me to navigate life here in Ireland. So I'm aware that not everybody has these skills to get up each time they get knocked down. It's not easy. Some people get disenfranchised. They're like, I can't do this anymore. But because of my nature of, I keep going, I keep believing, I'm able to get to where I am. So some of my, I remember then my Irish colleagues would tell me, oh, why don't they see a lot of ethnic communities in mainstream events? I know that Ireland has become so diverse. So why are there people from ethnic minority groups not in events? I said, okay, that's something I hope I can influence through my work. So, and I know that really, and it can be daunting even for the Irish people as well, in terms of networking. You have to stand up and present yourself, and not everybody is confident and comfortable talking in public anyway. But can you imagine how difficult it is for somebody that English is not their first language, or for someone who has a strong accent, or even for people like me who have a stammer, or people that come from a different culture where networking is not the norm. So even after in my own head, I felt I have achieved my goals. I worked in the corporate sector, been able to, overcome my challenges. But I'm not the type that gets used to my new life and I move on from that. I still think of how tough things were when I was trying to settle down in Ireland. And I was coming with an education as an accountant from home. And so how much more difficult is it for those that had a nasty experience, a trauma before coming to Ireland? So this was the driver behind my setting up Phoenix Rise Consulting. Because like a phoenix, I rose from the challenges of discrimination, from microaggression, from bias. And I believe that I could help other people too. So now I help migrants like myself to develop cultural awareness and skills and that positive mindset so that they can participate in Irish society as equals and are valued as equal contributors to the Irish society. I also work with organizations, helping them to understand the significance of diversity and inclusion, and also help them to improve their cultural competencies so that they can reap the incredible benefits of diversity and inclusion. I also provide coaching, one-on-one coaching for businesses who are looking to take the first step, who don't know how do we begin to navigate this journey. That's part of some things that I do. But again, if you look at it, I'm just one person. I can only do so much. And in order for us to enjoy the wider benefit to Ireland's economy as a whole, we all need to play a part. Whether you're a small shop owner, a designer, a publisher, or an event organizer, we all have a role to play. Achieving diversity and inclusion, it sometimes takes time and effort. It's not something that you say, oh, the manager will take care of it, or the CEO will take care of it. It's something that requires the small everyday actions of every one of us so that we can make a profound impact. A good quote which I use to challenge myself is, if not me, who? If not now, when? So as business leaders, we have a responsibility to ask that question of ourselves on a regular basis. Leadership is both a privilege and a responsibility. So whether we take the privilege without taking and without living up to that responsibility is up to us. And that is why I am here to make it clear to you that diversity and inclusion makes business sense. And it does pay very generous dividends over the long term. According to, I have some figures for you. I hope I don't bore you, but it's so important. According to McKinsey, companies in the top quartile for racial and ethnic diversity are 35% more likely to have returns above national industry medians. According to Gartner, highly inclusive organizations generate 2.3 times more cash flow per employee, 1.4 times more revenue, and are 120% more capable of meeting financial targets. However, when we look at the figures in Ireland, there is an overrepresentation of migrants in unpaid employment. Migrants from Spain, for example, 16% of them are in unpaid employment. In Poland, migrants from Poland, 25%. And from Nigeria, 49%. In 2016, the unemployment rate of migrants stood at 15.4% against the natives, Irish natives, at 12.6%. So when we look at the figures by race and nationality, it represents a very sharp divide, with the whites at the top and the blacks at the bottom of the economic ladder. For example, Western Europeans recorded the lowest unemployment rate. The French, 7%, the Germans, 8%, Italians, 9%, followed by the Eastern Europeans. The Polish, 13%, the Latvians, 17%, then the Africans recorded the highest unemployment. Then for Nigerians, 43%, and for Congolese, 63%. So my question to you is, What small step can you take as an individual or even a business to begin to bridge this gap? How can we begin to create a culture of inclusion? So that's really why I'm here. So I told you this story, my story, to kind of see, that's just a bit of my story. My story is much bigger than that. But to tell you that the challenges that I faced 18 years ago, and the statistics are still saying it's not much has changed, particularly around the migrants' end of things. So as a business, what really can you do to create a culture of inclusion? So these are all ideas. So if there's something, if it's one thing that you can take away from here and say, I'm going to do something, that will make my day. Even though I may have 10, 15, but if there's one thing you say, this works for me, this is an easy step, please do that. I'll really appreciate it. So the first thing first, as a business, you need to commit to inclusion. And by that I mean, without commitment, you cannot start anything. Even if you're going to, even if you're planning a wedding tomorrow, you're getting married, I believe you want to get commitment from your partner, right? You just don't get married by seeing. So ask yourself, does your business have a diversity and inclusion policy? Do employees understand the policy and what it means in their roles? And there should be an emphasis on, this is not just a nice to have. You know, sometimes we have this shiny policy that looks good and people just say, yeah, we have it, that's it, we are good. But it's not, we don't want, you know, it's not about having a nice to have policy. It's about saying, this is the way we do business here. We are inclusive, we embrace people from, you know, and again, diversity is beyond race and ethnicity or gender now. That's, you know, it's quite, you know, it's about age. You know, you all know the different, yeah, so it's not, so don't, but my specialty is race, ethnicity, and culture. So but it's much bigger than that. So you could choose an area of diversity that works for you and you connect with and begin from there. So you need to create and honor a zero tolerance policy for disrespectful and uninclusive behavior and continue to reinvent yourself as a business because the future is inclusive. You also need to create inclusive products. I see your hands, you know, I'm so fascinated. Someone had to teach me this now. I really love the way, I'm quite impressed. So by creating inclusive products, it's about designing products with the different facets of diversity in mind. Gender, when you're thinking, I know it's weird, you know, you were thinking gender, age, ethnicity, I know, but that's what I want you to think as you're stemming that and sewing that through. Think of who are you, who is this for? Who is your audience? How does it just suit one kind of, you know, people? How can more people access and appreciate what you do? So the first step towards inclusive designs, I will call it, is to begin to recognize exclusion. Start observing, start asking questions and listening to learn from human diversity. Every decision that we make can raise or lower barriers to participation. It's our collective responsibility to lower these barriers through inclusive products, inclusive services, and experiences. And another point I would make for the SMEs is to use inclusive advertising and marketing. Every business that uses inclusive marketing have often experienced increased sales and revenue. I would like you to begin by reevaluating your marketing and advertising strategies. Some important questions to ask yourself is, who is represented in my ads? How do you advertise? Where do you advertise? What platforms do you use? Are they those that just cater for the same people you've known that you're used to over the years? Or could you do something differently this year or next year and say, okay, maybe there's some people I want to work with, people with maybe older people with a disability, where or ethnic minorities, how do you want, if you start to focus and think about the group you want to support, it helps you to think and say, okay, how can I reach them? Even though that may be a problem, at least you know what you are looking for. Then you can talk to somebody, how can I reach this group of people? I want to see how I can learn to improve on my designs, on my thinking, so I can cater for them. So the next point there is create strategic partnerships. And this is one where you have an opportunity to level the playing field. You may consider, for example, to partner with a minority-owned business to host an event. It's amazing the kind of information and knowledge or ideas that could come when you have somebody from a different background adding value to what you do. It's amazing the kind of contacts or the networks that your business could expand to once you are able to think, who else? Who am I excluding? How can I bring somebody that is different in? So as individuals, I have some ideas for you as well. Have an inclusive mindset. Everything always starts with the head. It starts with the mind. There's a famous quote by Henry Ford that says, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you are right. And that means that there's power in our thoughts. Our thoughts can empower us or disenfranchise us. It's up to you. If you think, yes, I know I can do this, it's just the first step. Oh, I know I believe in diversity. I know that Ireland has become so diverse, and I believe that I can do something. One thing, and you'll be surprised how having that positive thought and attitude can lead to ways and things or ideas that can make it happen. So acknowledge, again, another point is also acknowledge your bias. We all have biases. I am biased, and everybody is. But the important thing to know is about be aware of it and be aware of when it's going to come in the way of making decisions that could make or break. That's why it's important for the likes of the HR to always have, I know some of you don't have a HR department, no, but I'm just talking in general that for HR is important. Those that, in terms of recruiting, how are you making sure that you've gone through a diverse pool to select the best candidate? How, in terms of, I don't know, maybe some of you have a magazine and you want to promote and engage a model to for your magazines. How do you go out of the common pool that you use to go? How do you do that? How else can you include those that you've never used before? So host unconscious bias trainings and workshops. Invite speakers from diverse backgrounds and cultures to speak at your events. Again, recognize your privilege. And when I say privilege, it doesn't mean that you have 10 million in your bank account. No, it's not about wealth or money. But it's about those things that come naturally to you that may not be natural for me, for example, as an African. I remember when I was preparing for this speech and I was trying to talk and practice in front of my kids. I have 3 daughters and they were all born here. So that is a privilege for me, having kids that are born here. So even though I'm part of a marginalized group or a minority group, I still recognize that I still have some privileges. And I remember my daughter telling me, oh, you don't pronounce it that way. You need to say learned. I was saying, I don't know how I pronounce learn. She said, no, it's learned. I said, come on. Yeah, then I said, yeah, because you're Irish. I'm not, stuff. So she was like, so that's her privilege. She comes to her naturally. I couldn't talk like that. And I don't want to be acting fake. You can imagine me coming here saying, recognize your privilege. And that's silly. That is so silly. And then I would be that's not me. So that's why it's, it's a privilege. And having an Irish accent is a privilege. You may think it's not, but it is. And use that privilege to your advantage. To advantage those that do not have the same privilege as you. Again, become an ally. An ally is someone that says, I want to stand up for marginalized communities. that is going to stand up and say, through personal commitment, I want to support them. I want to be their champion. I want to be their voice. There's some things today, if I want to do or achieve, I know that it works better when I have an Irish person beside me. That's just a fact. It's just, so I recognize that. So I'm better off, because again, I always talk about empathy. It's not fair on me also to expect, supposing I'm going to, maybe, I don't know, let me put a perfect example. I haven't met you before, and I come and from nowhere, and I start making demands, and you're like, who is this girl? It's crazy. But if I came with somebody that you know, or somebody, just another person that you relate with, that can speak on my behalf, or try to connect us, it's easier for you. So we have to kind of, so that's kind of what an ally is. So become an ally and stand up for people that are marginalized. Again, love out loud. How do I mean by love out loud? If you really want to, if you say that you're an ally or you support diversity or inclusion, it doesn't matter this group you are trying to work with. The key thing is that you've identified, maybe an ethnic group, a disability group, an LGBT group that you want to support. It's not enough to support them behind closed doors and be saying, oh yes, we're well done. But if they have a post on social media, and share that post, connect with them so that they feel, like that they belong. If your circle sees that you are comfortable with this kind of group, it helps as well. So help with the visibility of ethnic minority businesses. Example, by sharing their business cards. I actually took this idea from Lisa. She was so kind. We had a meeting someday, and she invited me for an event, and I couldn't go because of I had another thing coming up. And she said, okay, if you cannot go, I don't mind. I could take your card and share it in the event. And I thought, oh my God, I've never been asked that. That was different, and I really appreciated that. So thank you, Lisa. That little thing you did made a big difference. Yeah. But I really, that was really good. So little things like that. Call out lack of diversity whenever you are in a room that is not reflective of what Ireland is today. And by that I mean, because I know I gave this idea to someone and they said, oh, I couldn't say that. Oh, my boss, they will do my job. I know people got so scared. But I just said, it's not about, I thought it depends on how you say it. There should be a team meeting or events that bring teams together where you can have a conversation. It's about, I'm thinking, I would like to suggest, you could say things, it's not really about you saying, I think this is wrong, this company is not doing well, you are not diverse, and it's not about pointing fingers, it's about making a suggestion, or maybe pointing it out in a nice way. So then again, examine your network. Who is in it and who is not? Don't unintentionally exclude people who aren't like you. Open the door to your inner circle. Invite others with the different experience and perspectives in. Don't shy away from talking about uncomfortable or difficult conversations. When minority groups talk about white privilege or racism or microaggression, don't take it personally. It is not an attack on you or an opportunity for you to get defensive. Rather, I think it's a time to ask yourself, how can I make a difference? What small role can I play? See it as a moment of learning. Then a few more points. So don't remain silent when you see inappropriate things that are said about minorities. Your silence makes you complicit. Remember to catch yourself when you stray in your messaging or your language, or you revert to making assumptions and stereotyping. Ask yourself in that conversation, what is this saying about this group? This will help you to know when to censor and self-regulate. So in conclusion, when you actively create a culture of inclusion, you foster innovation, you enhance business reputation, and you are able to connect with cultures and improve employee experience for all. No man is an island. We all need and depend we need and depend on each other, on all our unique experiences and capabilities to innovate, to push forward, and to push outside of our own comfort zone, and to become better as businesses and as people. So progressive businesses like yours do not stand still. They evolve. There are plenty of ways that we can choose to evolve, but one way that I've seen that makes the biggest impact is through diversity and inclusion, because it impacts in our lives, and it's key to how we operate day in, day out. Thank you for your attention.